Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Show Home Live. In this exclusive interview session, I'm joined by Edward Smith, who is the Managing Director of Caesarstone, and we're going to be discussing the trends in kitchen surfaces, as well as some of the challenges for house builders and also designers. Just to start off, Edward, what attracted you to this industry and led you to your current role at Caesarstone?
So, my father had his own construction company. So I was always in and around building construction. And then sort of as I've entered in career, and I've stayed within building construction all the way through, predominantly with distribution, which I've loved. And part of the reasons I think for the sector, it's overall diversity. There's so many different facets to the industry, an opportunity that comes with it. There's sort of, it's pretty open to progress within the businesses and try new things. So that's why I've loved that industry and I've stayed with it for kind of 30 years. In terms of when it comes to Caesarstone, as I mentioned, I've been in building distribution for kind of 30 years, but I haven't been on the other side of the fence in manufacturing. So it was something that I was really keen to do. Especially from a general management perspective, almost poacher turned gamekeeper, if you like. And when the opportunity came from Caesarstone, I've known Caesarstone for years, having kind of looked over the top of showrooms pretty much all the way through my career. So it's a premium product, and there were excellent growth ambitions for the business. And fundamentally, I thought it's a business I can make a difference to. And it's quite customer centric, which is really, really important and right for a transformation. So, it didn't take me long to agree to join the business.
And could you tell us a little bit more about the connection between Caesarstone and the new build sector?
Yeah, sure. So kind of, I think since Caesarstone's inception back in 1987, from a global point of view, Caesarstone has always seen a huge opportunity market for partnerships with house builders, developers, and the A&D sector. And I think when it came to the UK, once Caesarstone had a direct business back in 2017, I think that seemed a fairly obvious route to carry on. And since that point, what we're seeing is long-standing partnerships have been generated with house builders and developers. And I think Caesarstone, what it brings to that industry, just because of the innovation that it gives, is a point of difference to developers' projects. And we've got a really, really strong reputation for high quality with premium products. Me coming into the Caesarstone business about 7 months ago, especially with my background, clearly one of those areas that I was keen to progress and to continue to develop is that house builder developer. And that's what we've done by launching initiatives like the new house builder range. And we're also investing quite heavily in the sector with people to form those relationships directly with house builders and developers.
Well, I'm going to try and take full advantage of your background and expertise in this industry and to explore, first of all, the trends to share with our viewers, the house builders and developers. What have been the biggest changes in surface trends that you've witnessed over the last decade or so?
So I think what we've seen as a building up towards an understanding of what's possible with engineered stone. So I think end consumers are very aware of it now, and that's built up over the last decade. Due to its durability, the style, the environmental impact of the product, when you compare it to natural stones as marble and granite. And there's also there's an affordability aspect in that. So the designs of the engineered stone, I think that's changed dramatically. It's gone from the very basic sort of sparkly mirror chip speckle type surfaces, and actually now there's different textures, natural looking products that kind of evokes the outside world. And I think from my understanding, Caesarstone's really driven this change through lots of investment in R&D. And what we're seeing certainly over the last couple of years, and on a global scale, we've definitely seen it. It's slightly slower in the UK and Ireland, but the growing popularity of porcelain, plus the development of our mineral surfaces, and that's because it provides more of a sustainable option for consumers and developers.
And would you say that that's the primary reason for that material in particular having grown so much in popularity, or are there other reasons for these changes?
Um, so I think a lot of this is about, and Caesarstone itself is seeing the drive in change more towards a sustainable product. But I think what we're seeing is also a push from consumers and developers and house builders on the same way for more sustainable solutions in their buildings. I think there's a constant push for to start pushing the design boundaries, the innovation. There's a constant thirst for that, and especially in a global market, it's open to lots more concepts and ideas. And to that point, what we're doing in Caesarstone is investing a lot more towards the sustainable and safety orientation initiatives across our product life cycle. And that's ultimately where it's led currently into the development of our mineral surfaces, because they provide a much more sustainable solution with the low silica content and a mix of minerals and recycled content, more importantly. So I think there's a push and a pull going on here. That's the important point.
And could you tell us a little bit about the quartz and porcelain materials and perhaps the main differences between those, and also why you might recommend one or the other to house builders?
Sure. So I think the difference between quartz and porcelain, they're minimal. There's not a huge amount, as long as they're both manufactured with quality in mind. And if you take porcelain, it's slightly more heat resistant, and quartz is slightly more impervious to knocks. But they're both fantastic surface solutions. So I think the advice would be to spend less time picking a material type and more on finding maybe a brand that can advise and offer both materials. And then it's down to what's the design that the house builder developer wants to create? What's the image that they want their buildings to show when their consumers come to purchase? I do think, though, that developers should take care they're including products that meet required standards, and that can be tricky. There's lots of different information out there, but I think those standards that come from responsible companies that have a clear focus on quality and sustainability, and that's readily influenced on their website from their certification. So that's just something to watch, and making sure what it says on the tin is actually what's on the tin.
And what are some of the other services that are available and were perhaps popular in the past and less so now? And why do you think they have become less favoured?
So I think there's probably a couple of pieces to this. If I go to maybe more expensive solutions, so natural surfaces, clearly there is still a demand, right? It provides a fabulous effect, but there is a cost impact on that. And there's also a sustainable impact on that. I think what quartz and now mineral surfaces provided is it's an aspirational product that is probably within people's, it's economically viable. So it's affordable luxury. It's probably one way to look at it. And I think, especially over the last few years, and that market has grown, it's almost an expectation when people go into their new developments, their new homes. It's kind of a prerequisite. So product that's Formica, actually that's kind of that's not seen as what they want to see and what they want to touch and work in their kitchen, right? So I think it's that part of the market, and it's affordable luxury, and people's expectations have grown.
And when it comes to not just with surfaces, but also other house building products, changing, obviously customer demands are constantly changing. How would you advise manufacturers and designers to stay ahead of these changing demands?
Yeah, so and there's lots of pressures, which I understand from the manufacturing point of view, but I think it's making sure that you speak to the experts, work with trusted partners that you can rely on, that you understand where the products that come into their solutions are coming from, and that's why, from our point of view, it's a long-term game, and we strive to be the best partner we can. with the intention to always being to drive that long-term approach. And I guess the other suggestion would be get close to your customers. If you're not already close to your customers, and understand what drives their business and help to find solutions for them, because ultimately that will shape and sell your products.
And what role would you say research and development might play within this context?
Huge. It can't be underestimated, to be honest. So especially at Caesarstone, where the reality is you've got to challenge the norm. You've got to inspire. What are the new services coming through? So everyone wants fantastic workspaces, even more now. There's so much more time spent in those workspaces, and that needs innovation. So without question, if you don't have strong research and development, and it's difficult, when the balance sheet suggests you've got to look after it, but the only way to be a long-term sustainable business is in research and development. So to answer your question, it's huge.
And when it comes to some of the further challenges, I imagine it must be very difficult to find the right balance between being on trend and also meeting requirements like sustainability, durability, and also practicality. How difficult is this, and how do you overcome this difficulty?
Yeah, so ultimately it's a business decision because it requires constant investment in R&D. And that comes at a cost. But I think for businesses, again, looking at the long term, if you're not driving innovation, and that's what R&D is creating, sustainable, ethical products, that comes at cost. But we'd rather create long-term, lasting premium products than be the cheapest on offer. And it's the fact that there are cheap products on the market, but that comes with certain impacts. There's lots of mimic costs on there. And often the only way to do it is to cut corners. You just can't create high quality products ethically, with sustainability in mind, and charge the cheapest price in the market. So if it just doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. And that will always be a challenge, but I think you have to keep true to your ethos of what you stand for as a business.
Good. So would you say that in many cases, a house builder might need to prioritize one particular area over another?
I think house builders do, and they have to, from my perspective, I guess you have to make decisions and understand what's the end product that you want to supply and be the face off for your customer. In terms of which products, I think that's a choice. And that's often a tough decision, but it goes back to, I think, making the right decision that will sell homes and developments in the future.
And are there any other challenges that house builders face when it comes to selecting the right surfaces for their kitchens?
And my suggestion would be always work with reputable global brands. I would say Caesarstone, but it is one. Because that then gives you the confidence and allows you to tick the boxes of sustainability, longevity, responsibility. And I think if you're talking about large global brands, that should also allow you to achieve a competitive price. And that's often because of economies of scale. If you are a large global business, then you are able to develop in all the areas, including that research and development point of view, but have a spectrum of products that should meet everyone's budget.
And just finally, moving into sort of your future outlook into the market, what are your predictions for the future of kitchen surfaces and the trends that we've been speaking about?
Yeah, good question. And I think some of this is around how long it will take to happen as opposed to what will happen. Engineered stone, I think, will remain strong. It's embedded within the industry. I think there's a lot of really good R&D to come. I certainly know there's some good stuff in the pipelines from our point of view. But porcelain, without question, will grow in the market due to its versatility in terms of some of the vibrancy of the colours, etc. And we're seeing that, in different thicknesses. So I think the porcelain market, that's going to increase in share. both in 12 mil and particularly in some of that commercial sector, some of that larger house builder developer point of view because of the different options it gives. But we talk about mineral surfaces as opposed to quartz surfaces. That will switch, and I think that's going to happen quite quickly because the products need to be more sustainable.
And what do you think might be the key for you at Caesarstone and also other manufacturers to continue innovating and creating products that are in keeping with these developments?
I think that our customers and our market will drive us. We have to, create the art of the what's possible and be clear to show it. But I think there will be push from both directions. It's a push and pull situation. So we just need to keep listening to our customers.
Well, thank you very much, Edward, for joining us and for sharing all of that insight.
Thank you.